As he slowly opened his eyes, a flood of memories from his past washed over him, a stark contrast to his current disoriented state. He found himself sprawled on the rooftop, his head throbbing with pain, and an unsettling, putrid stench filling the air. He wondered aloud where he was and how he had ended up on the roof. Glancing down, he noticed a crowd of people below, and a chilling realization dawned on him. What the heck are these? Zombies? He exclaimed, horrified, as the people downstairs indeed appeared to have transformed into the undead. He shouted, questioning what was happening, recalling that he had been in the normal world just moments ago. Frantically, he searched for his phone, desperate to go online and understand the sudden apocalypse. His hand met only a peanut packet in his pocket. He remembered buying the bag of peanuts at the supermarket earlier and realized that was all he had left. A morbid thought crossed his mind. He was as good as dead after finishing this bag, and then he could finally rest in peace. A fleeting wish for a girlfriend before his demise drifted through his thoughts. Just then, the door behind him creaked open, and a girl in shorts and a t-shirt entered. He peeped, his heart pounding, and instantly thought, crap, the zombie's already up here. I'm dead, so dead. However, his fear turned to bewildered fascination as the girl stabbed a dagger into a water tank, and water gushed out, drenching her. She then proceeded to wash herself. He found the situation ridiculous, a zombie being so sexy. He sighed, mesmerized by her beauty, realizing she was a living human. He accidentally made a sound, and the girl's head snapped towards him. She ran towards him, and he meekly said, "Hello." His greeting was met with a swift slap. The girl pointed a gun at his forehead and demanded he spill it. He pleaded with her, begging her to spare him and not to kill him. She asked who he was. He mumbled his name, his eyes inadvertently drawn to her thighs, thinking to himself that this angle was so good. Suddenly, from behind the zipper of his pants, a voice, that of his sentient chicken, declared that enemies were attacking outside. The chickens seemed dismayed, stating there was no way they were retreating, given the powerful opponents they were facing, and immediately initiated combat preparation. The girl, her face contorted in anger, suddenly lunged forward, striking Shuyong with something. She declared her intent to kill him. He pleaded with her to put it back. Just then, a zombie materialized behind them, poised to attack the girl. She swiftly dodged its lunge, but the zombie, unfazed, relentlessly attacked Shuyong, repeatedly striking him in the groin. He cried out, asking what was wrong with it and why it kept hitting his junk. A dagger suddenly appeared, piercing the goblin-like zombie's eye. The creature roared in pain. It was the girl, who then became the target of the goblin's enraged attacks. She thought that the military zombie's skull was too thick for bullets to penetrate, but now that she had injured its eyes, it could only swing blindly. She observed that the space on the rooftop was tight, with few places to hide, and if they continued fighting, they might attract more zombies. She noted the zombie's enormous upper body and injured leg, which explained its snail-like pace. She then pulled another saw from her wrist just as the zombie prepared to attack her. Shuyong shouted, "Watch out!" She dodged the attack, slicing off one of the zombie's arms. As the zombie attempted to turn, she swiftly beheaded it. She remarked that this batch of zombie cores looked pretty good. Shuyong was terrified. The girl, looking at her dirty clothes, grumbled that she had just cleaned herself and was dirty again. She then turned to Shuyong, questioning his softness and asking which faction he was from. She repeated her question, but Shuyong, still in a state of disbelief, thought this was all insane, a mere product of the horror movies he had been watching. He tried to convince himself that if he just got a good night's sleep, he would wake up. He then reached for his peanuts, noting that the peanut flavor in this dream was quite strong. Suddenly, the girl snatched the packet of peanuts from him, demanding to know who he was and how he possessed such a precious elixir of life. Shuyong meekly asked if she liked peanuts. She firmly reiterated her questions, asking which faction he was from and why he had such precious food. She then pressed the waist saw against his neck, leaving a scar. He realized it was real. He pleaded with her, begging her to spare him. He introduced himself as Shuyong, just an ordinary handsome guy, explaining that peanuts were his go-to snack that he always carried with him, and he had gotten them at the Damatsi supermarket. Just then an attack broke out, and the girl was shot in the leg. Shuyong asked if she was okay, stating she had been shot. She thought she didn't know why the mutated zombies were after her, but it felt like someone was behind it all. On another building, a sniper scoffed, stating that this chick had skills and advising his companion to just leave the zombies to her and let her take care of them. The other boy with the sniper praised his boss, calling him a genius for scoring the zombie core without breaking a sweat. However, he expressed concern that she had only been hit in the leg, wondering what if she came after them with her skills. The sniper reassured him not to worry, as the first shot he fired had a corpse toxin bullet, and it wouldn't take long to drain her life away. Shuyong saw the girl's leg, now swelling ridiculously. The girl confirmed it was poisoned with corpse toxin, stating that despite her military record and experience with the zombie virus, this new type of virus from corpse toxin was much more severe. She believed there was no way she was getting out of this alive. She identified their attackers as being from the 17th faction, who were after the zombie core from the one she had just taken down. She warned Shuyong that if they got caught, they would be dead meat. Shuyong asked what they should do now. She replied that she could hold them off while he escaped. Shuyong asked about her. She explained that she had been infected with corpse toxin, and only penicillin could cure it. She couldn't run anymore, and it wouldn't be long before she turned into a zombie, and then Shuyong would be next. She offered to help him escape, but in return he would owe her one. He had to tell her sister to flee for her life without her, as she would be at the mercy of those scoundrels from the 17th faction. Shuyong questioned if penicillin was truly all it took to detoxify. She affirmed it, then asked what he meant by just penicillin, explaining how difficult it was to obtain penicillin as it was extremely rare. Shuyong muttered, "The rarest." Just then she said she would fire a shot later to distract them. She instructed him to go to the rooftop where there was a door, and when there was a lot of smoke, she would throw smoke bombs. She then gave him a note, explaining it was where her sister was, reminding him he must tell her. Now's the time, hurry up and go, she urged. Shuyong ran. Shuyong found himself torn, reflecting on how the girl had just saved him. He wondered how he could simply abandon her. He thought about penicillin and his own world, considering that penicillin there can be acquired easily. He desperately wanted to return. Just then, a system materialized before him, announcing, "The primordial emperor system is online. Initiating dimensional shift to the Gulf." Shuyong questioned what a dimensional shift was, asking if it was a way to return to his world. The girl, still by his side, urged him, "What are you waiting for? Hurry up and go." Shuyong then inquired if he could return again after leaving. The system replied with a simple yes. Shuyong declared he wanted to go back immediately. He then woke up in a hospital bed. Moments later, inside the hospital, a doctor was asking an old man about his legs. The old man replied they were much better. Just then, Shuyong came running, frantically shouting, "Penicillin! Where's the penicillin?" Meanwhile, the girl, heavily infected, was slumped on the floor, on the verge of death. She thought of Shuyong, silently urging, "That pretty boy, you must tell my sister." On the other end, the men with the sniper observed that the gunfire had stopped and she couldn't pull on anymore. Their boss instructed them, "Let's go, brothers. It's time to collect our spoils." Just then, a nurse admonished Shuyong for running in the hallway. He spotted the penicillin, snatched it, and shouted, "Dimensional shift." He instantly found himself back in the dilapidated world. Shuyong then addressed the girl, stating, "Not dead, huh? Good, not dead." She stared at him, asking if he was crazy and why he had come back. He presented her with the penicillin, saying he had bought it. She asked in disbelief how he had penicillin. Shuyong simply replied that he had just gone to get penicillin and told her not to ask too much. He assured her it was genuine penicillin and that she wasn't going to die, they were going to get out of there alive together. He urged her to eat it and handed her the capsule. She swallowed it. Shuyong asked how she was feeling, if it was any better. She replied that the swelling had gone down and the toxins had faded away, remarking, "Unbelievable! It's already suppressing the toxins. What kind of penicillin is that?" Suddenly, she heard a door knock and warned, "Someone's coming. Hide quickly." She pushed Shuyong through a hole in the roof, onto a bed below. He landed with a groan, complaining, "My poor back. A bed, that's insane, man. You know a man's back is the most crucial part, right?" Just then, the door opened, and the sniper and his companions entered. The sniper instructed his men to find the girl, suggesting they might have some fun with her while she was still alive. The girl, however, defiantly stated, "Looking for me, huh? I was gonna look for you guys too. Didn't expect you to come to me." The gang members stared in disbelief, questioning how she was still alive, and then turned and ran for their lives. Shur-young, on the floor below, thought that he didn't need to worry about her anymore. Just then he noticed a diary. He scoffed, wondering, what's this crap, a diary for adults? Seriously, who keeps a diary? He picked it up and opened it, commenting on its bizarre content, concluding that the person who wrote it was clearly not normal. The diary entry for July 21st, 208, a sunny day, described a perfect day with a curly lady across the house doing her laundry as usual, providing his daily fix of the duty, her figure simply nice. On July 22nd, a new manager took a seat nearby. He guessed she was super into fitness, and her boot was simply irresistible, making him consider moving on from the curly lady. Lately, there had been rumors about an R-virus outbreak in the neighboring province, and he hoped it wouldn't spread to their area. He claimed that looking at Manager Bay's boot, he wasn't scared anymore. But just after that entry, the manager was infected by the virus too, and she reached the boy. The company was quarantined, and he was confined to his allotted room, not allowed to leave. By July 24th, the R-virus had affected most of the city's population. They were down to their last pack of food from the community. He had tried calling for help, but nobody was responding. He feared if he didn't escape, he might starve to death. On July 25th, he reached his limit and decided to break the lock and go out. He needed to find some food himself. In the supermarket, the pharmacy, and everywhere else, people were madly smashing each other for supplies, with no one thinking about anyone else. On August 3rd, a rainy day, the TV signal cut off. 2 days prior, in its final broadcast, the anchor had warned them that rescue might not arrive, urging them to save themselves and uttering some absurdity about humanity's indestructibility, which he found laughable. By August 17th, all the food was gone. Now, if he left the room, he'd probably get bitten to death by a swarm of infected. He wondered how painful that would be. These days, he had been surviving on tap water alone and wondered how long he could last, lamenting that he really missed Manager Bay's big butt. Just then, he heard a shout. A lady screamed not to come any closer and asked what he wanted to do. He realized it was the lady from across the house, and he thought that yelling like that would draw the infected over. When he saw what was going on, the lady was being stabbed by her own husband. He questioned what the person was doing, and then saw that the husband was eating his own wife. He vomited. August 19th. For days without food, and he was starving to death. Almost as he was losing hope, someone knocked on his door and asked for penicillin. The man exchanged a lot of food for his penicillin. He found it surprising that penicillin worked while other antibiotics were useless. He owed his life to the day he grabbed that medicine. On August 21st, he witnessed someone eating a dead zombie from the balcony. He found it hard to fathom how anyone could stomach it and wondered if that thing could really be eaten. It was a zombie core. On August 30th, he got robbed, and all the penicillin he had stashed away in the cabinet was gone. He cursed the damn monsters, acknowledging it was his only hope for survival. On September 1st, he left his prison-like house. Even if the outside world was full of infected, he didn't want to starve like a fool in his own room anymore. While he still had strength, maybe he would get lucky and find some food, or else he might just do what that guy did the other day. He held a knife and declared, "Bring it on. Today, it's either you eat me or I eat you." Shur-young thought, so he never came back. Did he actually die? He put the diary aside for now, concluding that it had given him a rough idea of what was happening in this world. People infected with the virus turned into flesh-eating zombies. Judging from the current food shortages and city paralysis, he estimated that most people had already been infected. There was another important point: penicillin. He had many, in his pocket. He realized that in this world, penicillin was more precious than gold, but while many people desperately sought it, he could easily buy it in his world, which meant he had struck gold. Just then, the sniper boy entered the room, exclaiming that Shur-young actually had a box of penicillin and no wonder that girl was still alive. He then took the full bottle of penicillin and declared that if he brought this bottle to his organization, they would surely promote him 3 ranks. He then suggested Shur-young might as well drop dead too. Shur-young quickly said, "Wait, I have more." The girl entered the room and told them not to shoot. The sniper warned her to stay back, otherwise, he would kill Shur-young. She retaliated, threatening to blow his head off in a second if he dared to shoot. She then urged them to let him go, promising to spare her alive. He cautiously listened to the sounds outside and noted that the recent fight had already attracted a large group of zombies. He advised his companions to let Shur-young go, as they still had a chance to escape, stating they would be dead if they waited any longer. She then further stated that this should be far enough and told him to let Shuyong go. He, angry, declared, "Yun, you have killed so many of my bros. We are going to pay the price for this." He then punched Shuyong, who landed straight onto her. The boy with a web shooter type of thing added, "Yun, learn. Next time we meet, I'll make sure to chop you up into zombie food as an offering to my brothers." On the other hand, Shuyong was quietly sleeping on her breast. She sighed, asking him seriously how long he planned on keeping this up. A vast swarm of zombies crowded the area downstairs. The girl declared they should be out of the zombie-infested zone by now and suggested they rest a bit before heading out again. Seizing the opportunity, she told Shuyong she had some questions for him, asking who exactly he was and why he possessed items like peanuts and penicillin that ordinary people wouldn't have. Shuyong thought that while Yun, the girl, might appear formidable in this apocalypse, it was always wise to keep something reserved. He decided that if he told her the truth, anything could happen, so it would be better to find an excuse and bluff his way through for now. He subtly slid a bottle of penicillin towards her and said, "Here." She saw it and, recognizing it as penicillin, exclaimed, "This box is a gift for you. Consider it a payment for saving me just now. If you agree to stay by my side and protect me, there will be plenty of benefits for you. What do you say? Shall we make a deal?" Shuyong asked if she was serious. She nodded, and he told her not to be shy and to just take it, adding that it wasn't just penicillin, he could get her even more desirable things. She questioned what even more desirable things meant. Shuyong then listed an array of delicacies: steamed lamb, steamed beef, power steamed deer tails, roasted duck, roasted spiced chicken, roasted marinated sea duck, soy sauce chicken, beef jerky, ample tripe, dried meat sausages, assorted vegetable platter, everything. She cut him off, saying, "Stop. I won't just agree to protect you for these things. I don't want to protect someone who might be from an enemy faction." Shuyong reassured her not to worry about that, stating he didn't belong to any faction. He suggested she could think of him as a pretty boy living in luxury from some utopian land. She thought that his tender skin indeed made him look like a pampered young master. She acknowledged she owed her survival to the penicillin he gave her and, despite her reluctance, admitted he was slowly becoming her lifesaver. She then agreed to the deal, stating, "So you are Shuyong, right? From now on I'll stick with you and keep you safe. But if I find out you lied to me, I'll kill you." Shuyong cheerfully replied that she could call him Brother Shuyong too, declaring that her luck had arrived. He then asked if he could ask her some questions, to which she agreed. Shuyong wanted to know about the apocalypse. She explained that the R virus, carried by zombie cores, sparked the apocalypse, infecting 80% of humans and causing a catastrophic drop in the global population from 9 billion to 1.5 billion, leaving only zombies in their wake. She described zombie cores as having both plant and mineral characteristics, and they could be ingested directly by living beings, used to make evolutionary potions, or stored as energy. Direct consumption led to short-term energy and nutritional supplements. Evolutionary potions came in 3 grades, 1, 2, and 3. When used as an energy source, zombie cores could be utilized individually or arranged in multiples of 1, 3, or 9 to form an energy array that fully unleash their potential. In the apocalypse, zombie cores were still used as common currency to trade different things. She continued, explaining that the newly mutated R virus could quickly adapt and resist modern antibiotics. This meant that high-tech genetic antibiotics were no longer working well, but all penicillin-based antibiotics were still effective. Because of mutations in penicillin and other microbes used to make penicillin, the conditions for producing it had become rarer, hence penicillin was now an extremely valuable drug in today's world. After the world ended, people found a network of groups that were similar to ancient tribes. These groups were connected to larger regional organizations and then linked to even bigger ones. They were currently in Qingzhou, which had 3 small organizations, 17th Earth Construction and Flambeers. The group they encountered earlier belonged to the 17th faction. She described them as violent criminals, committing murder, arson, and looting without any limits. They craved resources and women, enjoyed killing, and even used human flesh as food. They were part of a larger organization based in Yuzu. Shuyong acknowledged that he understood now. She concluded that this area was swarming with zombies, and having Shuyong as a drag meant they couldn't make it back to base today. She suggested they find a place to rest for the night. Shuyong agreed. She then told him to go to sleep as she would keep watch. Shuyong thought that just by looking at her face, it was hard to imagine she was such a formidable survivor. Shuyong then mentally instructed the Empress system to travel back to the 21st century, and the dimensional shift began. But when he woke up, he felt an immense heaviness. A girl in front of him asked if he was awake. He managed to utter a plea for her to get off, to which she playfully responded that he should be gentle. He then recognized her as his landlord, and asked what she was doing there. She explained that he had been knocked out by a crazy guy who had jumped off the building, but the doctors assured her he would be fine. She felt lucky that she had set herself as his emergency contact. Otherwise, no one would have paid his hospital bill. Shuyong asked where she had set that up. She then shifted the conversation, asking if he was hungry and offering to feed him. He responded, "Feed me?" She clarified that she meant she would make him some noodles, teasing him that he was a handful, and that since he didn't have any essentials, she would go downstairs and buy some for him. She asked if he needed anything, and he confirmed. She then told him to write her a list. With landlord gone, Shuyong decided to take a closer look at the primordial emperor system. He observed that merely thinking the words primordial emperor system made the interface appear before him, and it was pretty straightforward. He saw options for dimensional shift, power-up, and storage. He wondered how to activate the power-up function and saw that it needed a charge. Just then his landlord, Luoshi, returned, complaining that she was dead tired. Shuyong offered to take the items from her, but she told him not to move, reminding him he was a patient. Shuyong recognized Luoshi as a rich heiress. He thought that even if he were blind, he could tell she had a thing for him, but he was penniless and couldn't bring her happiness, so he had never responded to her feelings. He then considered that if he had the emperor system, being able to travel between two worlds, he could definitely make a huge profit with money, and perhaps then she and he. Just then, the door of the hospital room opened. Luoshi's uncle, Uncle Zhao, entered. Luoshi asked what he was doing there, reminding him she had told him where she was. Uncle Zhao replied that her father had sent him to take her to Yohuan for dinner. Luoshi refused, stating she was busy. Uncle Zhao insisted she must go, calling it an absolute order from her father. Luoshi again refused, saying, "Oh no, Uncle Zhao, don't push me." Uncle Zhao then told Shuyong to wait for him downstairs first. Shuyong asked what he was up to. Uncle Zhao dismissed the question, telling him to just head down first. Luoshi's uncle then spoke to Shuyong, asking if they hadn't already made everything clear before. He questioned why Shuyong was still clinging on to Luoshi, or if the money he had given him before wasn't enough. He advised Shuyong to be honest if he needed more, and not to return it and pretend to be above it. He then emphasized the difference between Shuyong and Luoshi, stating that her father would never allow them to be together. Shuyong interjected, "But if I become very rich?" The man cut him off, stating he knew that every dog has its day, but from what he had seen of Shuyong so far in his lifetime, he would probably never amount to anything. Just then, in the apocalypse world, the girl, Yun, said, "Hey, wake up." Shuyong woke up. She declared it was daybreak and time for them to set off, estimating it would take them about an hour to reach the base. They were running through an alley, and Shuyong was tired. She then announced they had arrived and threw a stone at the wall, which opened a hidden door. She stated, "This is our way." Shuyong commented that it was really well hidden, and that no one would know there was a space there from the outside. She urged him to hurry, and they reached her sister. Yun exclaimed, "Ru, look, I have brought back the penicillin." Her sister, too, was infected with a virus. Yun instructed her sister to take the medicine, assuring her she would get better soon. Shuyong asked if the girl was her sister and what had happened to her. Yun explained that a zombie had scratched her sister. She herself had gone out yesterday to hunt mutant zombies, hoping to use their zombie cores to create penicillin, but she ended up getting ambushed by people from Faction 17 instead. Her sister, concerned, asked if Yun was hurt from the ambush. Yun reassured her she was fine and mentioned she had a friend with her, the one who had provided the penicillin, without whom she wouldn't have made it back yesterday. Her sister expressed deep gratitude to Shuyong, stating he had saved their lives. Shuyong dismissed their thanks, thinking that for two girls to survive in such an environment was already a miracle. Yun then prepared some food for Shuyong and offered it to him. He expressed his relief, saying he had been running around all day and was starving. However, after taking the first bite, he immediately vomited. Yun asked if it was that bad, remarking that it wasn't so bad when she ate it. Shuyong questioned if they usually ate this. She asked why he was praying and if it was truly that bad. He denied it, saying he just felt sorry for them. He then told them to stop eating that trash and to wait a moment. Yun questioned why he wouldn't eat it, explaining she had gone through so much trouble to collect it from the sewers. Shuyong then took something out of his pocket and suggested they go with this one, opening the package. He placed a small food item into Yun's mouth. She flinched for a second but was then utterly amazed by the taste. She exclaimed, "This rich, milky aroma, this refreshing sweetness." Shuyong asked if she was okay, wondering why she wasn't moving, and confirmed he had fed her a white rabbit creamy candy, right? She responded with an enthusiastic, "Yummy." She then asked if he had more, opening her mouth and reaching for his hand. As he got near her, she grabbed his entire fingers along with the candy. Shuyong exclaimed that his hand was still in there, but she didn't stop, taking every bite off his fingers. She declared, "That's delicious. Can I have another one?" Shuyong gave her several more, and she took those candies to her sister, urging her to try this. Her sister also found it incredibly tasty, asking what it was. Yun explained it was a white rabbit cream candy that Shuyong had just given her and that it was very tasty. Her sister expressed profound gratitude for being alive. Yun told her to eat slowly as there was still a lot left. Shuyong, visibly moved and saddened by their hardship, then took out various food items from the 21st century for them, saying, "Here, take it all. All the food is for you guys." Yun recognized one item as a snack she had seen in a book. She asked if all of this was for them. Shuyong confirmed it was all for them to eat and reassured them he still had plenty more. Yun then gave him a bag filled with something, saying, "Here." Shuyong asked what it was. She explained it was all the zombie cores she had collected, and they were all his. Shuyong mused that as soon as a zombie core got close, the mark on his left hand began to burn, wondering if there was a connection between them. He then accepted the zombie cores Yun had offered. He questioned her generosity, asking if she was sure she wanted to give them all to him, considering how precious they seemed based on what she had said. Yun replied that the penicillin he gave her had saved both her and her sister's lives, and his food and supplies were supposed to be worth far more zombie cores, but for now, she had only gathered these. She promised to pay him back the rest later. Shuyong then exclaimed, "Oh no, do you guys have a restroom? I need to go there." Yun directed him to the restroom, which was just around that corner. Shuyong confirmed, "Okay, I'll be right back." He entered the washroom and observed it was a squat toilet. He remarked on its ancient appearance and the faking deep hole, but decided to deal with it first. As he sat there, he thought, well, there's no one around. I might as well study what a zombie core really is. He took out one of the cores, and as he held it, he said, "As suspected, there's a connection. My arm is heating up again." The zombie core was absorbed, and the system pop-up appeared. Power-up successful. Dimensional shift increased by 2. Total dimensional shift, 3. Shuyong realized, so, power-up is used for dimensional shifting, huh? He decided to add a few more, and after several more power-ups, 23 of the zombie cores rolled down the toilet. He now had a total of 9 dimensional shifts. Shuyong thought 9 should be enough and decided to keep the remaining zombie cores for now. Just then, he looked at the bag and shouted, "Where's my zombie core? I clearly had a whole bag just now. How come there are only 2 left?" He then looked at the toilet and, a dawning realization on his face, muttered, "Could it be?" Shuyong emerged from the washroom looking like a wandering soul. Yun asked what was wrong with him and why he had that face. Shuyong mumbled that it was nothing, just a bit constipated. Some time later, Yun announced it was time to eat. Shuyong questioned why she was eating this again, reminding her he had given them plenty of food already. She explained that she couldn't eat all of such precious stuff at once, and besides, she had collected this from the sewers with great effort, and it would be a waste not to eat it. Shuyong reassured her not to worry, as there was more food. She seemed confused, recalling that he had given all the food to them. Shuyong thought that she didn't know he had a storage space in the system, and it would be too strange if he took out more food now. He realized the food he currently had wasn't enough for the 3 of them for a few days and that he needed to go back and get more. Yun then revealed that she was a merchant and that every few days, someone came to deliver goods to her, and there was food there. Shuyong was surprised, asking why she hadn't told him before. She admitted that she hadn't fully trusted him yet. Shuyong then stated he had to go out tomorrow to get some goods and would bring back more food. He further reiterated that he was off to pick up the goods. Yun told him to wait and handed him a small handgun. Shuyong commented on how small the gun was. She explained that it wasn't about the size of the gun, but its power, calling it a deadly assassin's weapon. She insisted he better take it with him, just in case. She then asked if he was going alone and if he needed her to come with him. He declined, assuring her he would be fine and to wait for him to get back. He then closed the door. Just then her sister, Rua, woke up and called out to Yun. Yun asked Rua if she could walk now. Rua confirmed, stating that the medicine Shuyong had given her truly worked well. Yun expressed her delight and then instructed Rua to secretly follow Shuyong and see where he went. Rua asked why. Yun explained that Shuyong's appearance and actions were out of place there. It seemed he wasn't familiar with the rules around the earth, and the merchant and entity he claimed were probably just made-up excuses. Although he had been very generous to them, she concluded it was too early to trust him. Shuyong felt he had put enough distance between them, confident that Rua shouldn't be following him anymore. He activated the dimensional shift and returned to the hospital. Upon waking, he immediately thought he should get out of there. He couldn't afford to keep racking up hospital bills, especially since he was penniless. He exited the hospital and saw a car. He reflected on his situation, admitting he hadn't found a job for months and his savings were almost gone. He had once believed he would get rich, but it seemed he was still a broke loser. Nevertheless, he resolved to start by collecting some supplies that were hard to come by in the apocalypse. He acknowledged that food and medicine were more precious than gold in that world, but he had no channels to sell them. He knew that if he approached Faction 17, those vicious brutes would undoubtedly rob him of his goods and then kill him. Just then, Shuyong proceeded to buy a large amount of food, asking the cashier for the bill. He thought that Yun was incredibly skilled, but she was outgunned, meaning she could only protect him from the zombies at best. The cashier scanned all the food items and informed him that his total was 1054 yuan. Shuyong paid for all the goods. He thought these items should fit in the system's storage space. He decided to pack some extra clothes as well, calculating that since each dimensional shift used half a zombie core power, he should minimize the shifts. He found it infuriating that he had to be so frugal, silently cursing the damp toilet. Shuyong was very tired. The scene shifted back to the girl, Rua, in the zombie apocalypse. She was looking around and remarked how strange it was that Shuyong had disappeared in a blink of an eye. She questioned if her tracking skill was really that bad. She then decided that this location offered a great view and she would just stay there, convinced he wouldn't show up. Just then, Shuyong returned with a lot of packages. He muttered to himself that they should just carry everything back so no one would be suspicious. He then exclaimed that he hadn't seen any zombies there last time and that the place was sealed off. He decided they needed to find another way to go around. He wondered what the heck was going on and why there were so many more zombies here. He shouted for Yun to, "Come save me quick." He realized he couldn't get through the horde and might even have to shift. But just then, a zombie appeared from behind him, lunging towards Shuyong. The packets he had bought fell off, some of them spilling their contents. He was now clutching onto a rope, with zombies falling below. Shuyong shouted, "Dimensional shift," but his passive skill, quick climb, activated instead. Shuyong thought he couldn't hold on and needed to dimensional shift now. However, the panel informed him he had 7 skill points and that activating a passive skill cost 1 point, with each upgrade costing double the last. Shuyong thought, what kind of system is this? Upgrade now. The passive skill Quick Climb was upgraded twice, consuming 3 skill points. After the activation, he felt awesome. He was now effortlessly hanging by his old body weight with items on his back, using just one hand. He exclaimed how awesome it was, noting he could now easily hold onto the wire with just one hand, calling it incredible. He then stood on top of the wire and declared he could even walk on the wire, like walking on the ground, cool, just like Spider-Man. He proceeded to perform several Spider-Man moves on the wire. Rua, standing on the rooftop, observed Shuyong's acrobatic display. She thought she had believed Shuyong was just a fragile, ordinary person, but who knew his climbing skills were so strong? She realized Yun had been right. This guy was no ordinary person.